This program contains true stories of rescues. All of the 911 calls you will hear are real. Whenever possible, the actual people involved have helped us reconstruct the events as they happened.
In an emergency, quick thinking can save a life. I'm William Shatner. Tonight, true stories of people in jeopardy and the men and women who come to their aid on Rescue 911.
Hey, Daddy.
We begin in the Pecos Wilderness near Taos, New Mexico.
It was a beautiful day, and we started up the mountain. It was a trail that we'd gone on many, many, many times before, so we weren't really worried about the trip. We didn't really have to have any maps or anything out to know where we were going.
Ingrid and Michael Graves had spent the morning hiking with their 3 children.
And the kids started getting slow and pokey, and Christopher decided that he was hot. So I took his sweatshirt from him, and I put it in my backpack.
By 1 p.m., Michael was far up the trail. Ingrid had stayed back with the kids.
I decided that the way to speed them up was to walk a little ways in front of them.
Uncle, look!
The problem with being in the mountains is that when things are going well, the mountains are your friend. When things are not going well, the mountains are scary. Because all of a sudden you're working against them. They're your enemy. And that day, the mountains were my enemy. I ducked into the woods because I was going to let the kids go by me and I was going to surprise them. And my kids went by. There was Ann and Emily and no Christopher.
Where's Christopher? Emily, go get your dad. Go get Dad, hurry up. Stay on the trail, okay? Go get Dad, quickly, and come back down here, okay? Chris!
I ran down the trail and there was no Christopher. And I kept thinking to myself, he has to be here someplace. This just isn't happening. He's here someplace.
Chris! Chris!
Where's Mom?
She's down
Emily and Ann caught up and said, Dad, we've lost Christopher. Christopher's gone.
No.
Chris! Christopher!
He was lost with only Levi's on and T-shirt and shoes and socks. He didn't have anything to eat. He didn't have any clothing. We had no idea which way he headed.
Christopher!
As Ingrid continued her search, Michael and the girls drove back to their cabin to call for help. By late afternoon, there was still no sign of Christopher.
It was the worst experience I've ever gone through in my life. Your mind wants you to give up. Your mind wants you to say, you'll never find him again. It'll never happen. But in the back of my mind, nothing would let me give up. In the back of my mind, I knew if I gave up and if I lost hope, he would never come back. He would never be found.
Michael brought the police to where the day's hike had begun.
We ran the siren on the patrol car in hopes that Chris would hear it and come down to the siren.
I thought it was an ambulance, and the first person I saw was one of the highway patrolmen. And I started crying, and he said, well, we'll find your son. Don't worry, we'll find your son. And I thought to myself, yes, but will he be alive?
By 6:30 p.m., search and rescue teams began arriving on the scene. Their search plans were organized by Field Coordinator Ray Piper.
It's about 11,000 feet where he was at, and it is very, very cold up there. And he was not prepared to be out any time at all in this kind of weather. So the boy was in very immediate danger.
They searched into the night as temperatures dropped below freezing. In spite of the cold, more volunteers continue to arrive, including Jim Dixon.
We searched for a number of hours, calling, getting no response, no answer. And you feel the time running out. You feel it becoming more and more critical. But as long as you're active, as long as you're looking, there's a chance. And none of us were ready to go back, leaving the 5-year-old boy in that cold and that terrain. We weren't ready to give it up.
When we continued,
the feeling was right between two extremes, between tremendous elation that, yes, I found him, and that, oh my God, it might be too late.
It had been 11 hours since 5-year-old Chris Graves had disappeared in the wilderness, wearing only jeans and a T-shirt. Night had fallen, and the temperature would soon drop below freezing.
Christopher's family could do nothing but wait.
I remember praying to God and saying, please, please find him. I don't think that I ever stopped praying.
At 2:30 a.m., Jim Dixon's team was told to head back to base camp.
It was unbelievably cold. And we were looking at a topographic map, figuring out a way that we could make a return run somewhat productive. And there was this spot, and I can't speak for anyone else, but there was a feeling. When we started the sweep, I was on the outside, and I heard something that at first I thought was some sort of bird. It was a strange sound, not quite human. There in the light of my head beam was Christopher, trapped in the stream, frozen, in bad shape.
Team leader Del Du Bois immediately radioed the base camp.
When we found him, there was a sudden release of tension and a large release of adrenaline. But we weren't sure that he was going to make it. We didn't know for sure that he was. Just because we had found him, that didn't mean it was going to be a happy ending. With hypothermia victims, the most important thing is to warm them up right away. And body-to-body contact is a prescribed method for treating hypothermia in the field.
We're monitoring. Put your hand on his heart and count out loud for me, will you?
It was like a block of ice, like a piece of cold granite, colder than any human being should ever become. The feeling was right between two extremes, between tremendous elation that, yes, I found him, and that, oh my God, it might be too late.
All of a sudden there was a knock on my cabin door. I didn't know what I was going to find at that door. And the lady that came up to I opened the door and she said, Christopher's been found. He's cold and he's a little scratched up, but he's okay. And I think they said it that way so I wouldn't panic.
And she's got the frequency here.
Ray sent in an extrication team with a stretcher to help get the boy out.
He was rigid. We didn't even know whether he was alive or not. I don't know. It turns you inside out trying to hope that you can keep him alive after you found him. And that's a very, very scary time, because we knew he was so close to death.
How far away is the extraction?
After we'd exhausted all the possibilities, after we'd had him in the sleeping bag, after we'd had my body warmed against him, we'd asked on the radio, what more can we do? And, they said, keep talking to him, keep trying to reassure him, sing to him if possible. Asked if there was a favorite song, and Mother came back on the radio and said, When Saints Come Marching In was his favorite song. And it's a vision I always have of, the four of us, me in the sleeping bag and the others around, pretty scruffed up from a long night of searching, singing The Saints Go Marching In.
Lord, I'd be in that number when the saints come marching in. Oh, when the saints, oh, Christopher.
And it was a little bit after that his arms come around me and they give me this little hug. And it was just, oh God, it was a feeling that got no words to describe.
Hiking through dense brush and rugged terrain, it took the extrication team almost 2 hours to reach the remote location where Christopher had been found.
Even though it was a very short distance, it took us an hour to get to the trail. And it just started to get light when we got to the trail.
Okay, watch your branches, guy.
Dawn was breaking. Light was, touching the tops of trees, and the first birds of morning were out. And, telling Chris, my God, it's going to be a beautiful day. And his head comes up, and his eyes go straight open. Pops straight open, and looks into my eyes, and lips curved up in this sort of half smile. It's like, even though he was far gone and still has no memory of it, maybe at that moment, deep down inside, he knew he was going to be okay.
It was as if he'd been gone for an eternity, and they were bringing him down, and people started crowding around. And I was kind of jumping up, where is he? Where is he? How is he? And I couldn't get to him. But I was just so thankful that he was okay.
It was sort of this whirl of motion, and got up off the stretcher. Here's this woman who comes up and says, "I'm Mom," and sort of collapsed into each other's arms. She started crying. I started crying. Most of the rescue base started crying. I sort of was left wandering around in a daze, kind of overwhelmed at all that had taken place, all that I'd been a part of.
There aren't enough I love yous to say thank you for bringing Christopher back to me. If you could count I think if you put a thank you on all the stars in the sky, you might begin to cover what I feel about Jim Dixon. There aren't any words, I don't believe.
Christopher was treated in the ambulance for hypothermia, but he suffered no permanent injury from his 14-hour ordeal. Today, the Graves still enjoy the wilderness, but they have new family ground rules for whenever they go hiking.
Each child has his own backpack, which contains a candy bar, a flashlight, a compass. Every child and the parents have a whistle around the neck. And the one thing we've taught the children, if you get lost or separated from your group, stay still. Don't move. Stay right there. Sit down and wait for them to find you. Don't walk.
Jim Dixon has become a close friend of the family.
Chinese have an expression that when you save someone, you're responsible for them for life. And I have the same feelings about Christopher. The feelings that I have for Christopher are very strong, tremendous love, and a bond that will be with both of us for the rest of our lives.
Jim Dixon is a great guy, and he saved me from the cold. And Jim Dixon and I are buddies.
Next.
The scariest part is approaching the scene. You don't know where the assailant is, how determined he is that this victim is not going to survive.
In Denver, one of the best paramedic units in the country spends every day and every night out in the streets waiting for the worst to happen. This story is not a recreation.
Emergency paramedics.
I'd like to report some man in the alley of my neighborhood off of East Cedar.
Cedar and what?
Cedar and Parkway. There's a man in the alley, and his neck is sliced or something, because he told me to call the paramedics when he's all full of blood.
What happened to him? Do you have any idea?
No idea. We were just coming through the alley, and he was standing in front of the car, and he was all bloody. And
how bad is his throat cut?
Really bad.
All right, we'll get some help right over there.
Okay.
At 10:21 p.m., paramedics are sent to pick up a stabbing victim.
200 block South Alley.
The scariest part is approaching the scene. You don't know where the assailant is, how determined he is that this victim is not going to survive.
On this night, they get to the crime scene and to the victim even before the police arrive.
We found a guy lying across the hood of a car, bleeding profusely. Judging from what we saw running down the car on the ground, he was short-timing it. He was down to a few minutes.
Paramedics Ray James and Jody Peterson bring the man into their home base hospital, Denver General.
That is a weak radial, very weak radial pulse.
Radial pulse, they haven't had a pressure yet. The patient is intubated.
She's agonal and tubed.
Okay, thank you.
Myself and then the Denver policeman who rode along with us applied direct pressure to his wound. He was dying right in front of us.
I was just trying to assist the paramedics any way I could. He was pumping pretty good out of his neck. I was taking gauze sponges and actually holding it inside the hole in his neck and keeping pressure there.
Tube is not good. We don't have a good tube, so get ready to manage the airway. You got any vital signs?
Going up. He's awake. Follow the man with his eyes. Respiratory effort looks to be bilateral. Have it listen about 20 to 24 times a minute.
Ready? Everybody, 1, 2, 3, move. Good.
He is pulling with his arms, so watch it.
Let's get some oxygen on him, please.
Male found in the alley, stabbed across the anterior.
On call that night at the emergency room is Dr. Stephen Cantrill.
Got to control the bleeding from the neck, as well as manage his airway. How many lines do we have? Don't use force, easy.
How much atropine would you like him to have?
Any patient who has a traumatic injury to the neck, the airway becomes of primary importance. It's a real technical challenge, one that makes you a little nervous.
Anatomy is really swollen. There we go. Go ahead and interrupt that neck.
Swelling has blocked his airway. They will have to make a hole in his windpipe before he suffocates.
We need to roll this gentleman to make sure we don't have any other stab wounds to deal with.
Yeah, got it right here. Okay.
Gene, single stab wound found down with the pulse, no obtainable blood pressure. You can add and say the story, we're unable to intubate him.
When the victim, Jeff Whipple, has been stabilized, Dr. Cantrill calls Jeff's family.
He was found by our paramedics without a blood pressure. He's on his way to the operating room right now. The surgeons will have to go in and it's probably a large blood vessel that's been cut, and they will have to find that and stop the bleeding. Hi, how are you? I'm Dr. Cantrill. It's your brother? He was stabbed in the neck, and he was bleeding very badly. They're going to have to open his chest to gain control of that.
It does look fairly hopeful.
It looks fairly hopeful.
Good, cut the ligaments. Dr. McIntyre has his finger in the bleeding vessel up here in the neck. So the first thing we're doing is open up his sternum. We get into his chest so we get the blood vessels at the takeoff of the aorta.
Dr. Ernest Moore, Chief of Surgery, is in charge of the critical operation.
So we got proximal control of the artery now, and it's an injury that is right at the base of the takeoff from the aorta. And it shows the reason we had to open the chest to get control is this injury is literally in the chest and not the neck. This major artery to the brain has been transected at the outlet of the chest. And now we're going to restore blood flow to his brain by putting a synthetic graft between the ends of the carotid artery, the artery that goes to his brain. While we have the bleeding control, he could still wake up with a stroke. And I don't think most of the time we reflect much on the emotions in the operating room. And even after 13 years of this business, I probably won't sleep for the next couple of hours thinking about the operation. Without the optimal performance at every level of his care, he would have died.
Early the next morning, Jeff's father and stepmother visit him at the hospital.
The doctors can tell you he's stable, that he's doing better, but until you really see the person and touch them, you really don't believe that they're really going to make it. The happiest moment of all was when he opened his eyes and looked at us, because we'd been told that there was a possibility of a stroke. And when Jeff looked at us and reached out to us, we knew that he was going to be okay.
The doctor told us the paramedics had saved his life, and they said if it hadn't been for the paramedics and their fantastic work, they wouldn't even had anything to work on when he got here.
How are you? I'm Dr. Cantrill. You don't remember me. I took care of you downstairs when you came in. It's good to see you looking so well. I'm sorry you had to come to visit us the way you did, but we're glad that we were able to help you out. You're welcome.
He certainly made a miraculous recovery.
for a while there, it could have gone either way. And I'm glad that he's upstairs recovering right now.
That afternoon, Jeff's mother arrives from Texas.
You hate to see your child laying there suffering, and you wish you could take some of the hurt, but you just can't. I mean, being here, I think, and knowing that his family's here, I think helps him probably about as much as anything. I know it helps me.
Are you hurting a lot, honey? Try to relax. Try just to relax.
He's a good time guy. He's always been a happy guy. It's real strange to see him in this situation where he can't talk because he's a talker, so.
You feel dizzy, Jeff?
You stand up all right? Okay. There you go.
What about dancing tomorrow, okay?
Yeah. I was house sitting at a friend of mine's house, and as many other people had come up and asked if he's not there, well, no, he's not there, you know. And this person was kind of crazed and insistent on the fact that he was there. So they started to push their way by, and the guy pulled out a knife. He went nuts. He had the knife out and was trying to slice at me, and I grabbed a hold of his hand and held it off for a little while. So they looked like they were going to leave, and he just came back and just right in my neck. I sat down on the hood of the car and just became as calm as possible while I was holding my hand against my throat. Thank God for the paramedics, you know. It's a thankless job, but somebody's got to do it. If they weren't there, I wouldn't be around. I'd really appreciate that.
He looks a little different, doesn't he?
Yeah, sure does.
You guys were thinking I wasn't really going to make it.
Yeah, you were a sick man.
Yeah. I figured that was all over right then. You know?
Took one look at you and knew you had to work fast.
Yeah.
What I learned from this was no matter how bad someone looks, they've got a fighting chance. And if we do our job to the utmost, they're going to go home.
Jeff's family is grateful.
That night I went down to the emergency room to see if I could find out anything that happened. And I got to see one of the paramedics, and like I told him, if it hadn't been for them, we wouldn't have Jeff. I mean, what they did, their response time and their knowledge was just unbelievable. I gave him a hug.
In a moment of crisis, you can get help. Emergency numbers for your area are listed in your phone book and should be posted by every phone. This series is dedicated to the men and women who put their lives on the line to save the life of a stranger. I'm William Shatner. Join me next week for more true stories on Rescue 911.